So for example number 2, I'm still using information that's coming from that same survey that y'all did last week, but this time we are looking at how often you've been washing your hands each day. So we've all heard the president and the governor and everybody's advice about hand washing and how important it is to keep away germs just by washing your hands frequently. So we wanted to know, it says in a survey, 8th grade students were asked how many times they have been washing their hands each day. The results are shown below in the two-way table. So again, I just broke down the hand washing frequencies. Okay, so this was, you could choose from 1 to 3 times a day, 4 to 6 times a day, or 7 or more times per day. And then we also broke it down by gender, so female or male. So we wanted to take a look at how many of you were falling into which of those categories. Okay, so now I want to show you something that's called relative frequency. Okay, relative frequency. Frequency being how often you do something, right? So relative frequency, and I'm going to show you how to calculate the relative frequency among the intervals for washing your hands per day, and I'm going to break it down by gender. So I'm going to do female relative frequency for hand washing and male relative frequency for hand washing, and show you how we're going to do this. So first we're going to just focus on females, okay? So looking at just this top row right here of our table, right? How many females took the survey? Can you tell? Right here, 36. 36 of them took the survey, right? And of those 36, how many of them washed their hands between 1 and 3 times a day? If you said 7, you were correct. So that would be 7 out of 36. 7 out of 36. I'm going to write it there as a fraction. I'm also going to grab my calculator because I want to find that percentage. So I'm going to do 7 divided by 36. And that gives me 0.1944, and I've got those 4s are repeating, right? What if I turn this into a percentage, a decimal to percent? I've got to move my decimal 2 times to the right. So y'all, that's about 19%, almost 19.5%, okay? So I'm going to put right here about 19.4%. That's the relative frequency of females that wash their hands 1 to 3 times a day. How about females that wash their hands that wash their hands 4 to 6 times a day? That would be 17 out of 36, right? So 17 out of 36. Let me go to my calculator again. 17 divided by 36. If I move my decimal 2 times to the right, that's about 47%. Okay, I'm going to put 1 decimal place there, so 47.2%. Okay, and then how about those that are washing their hands a lot, 7+ times a day? I challenge you to actually keep a tally on your phone of how many times a day you've been washing. 12 out of 36. 12 out of 36. Let's see, 12 divided by 36. Look at that. So 33, that's 33.33%, 1/3 of those females. So 33.33%. Now, what would happen if I took these 3 percentages here and I added them together? What do you think? What number should I get? If you said 100 or close to 100, you would be correct, because I'm doing the number of people that fall in the interval out of that same total every time, out of the 36. So those 3 percentages should add up to about 100, okay? It might be off just a little bit because of rounding the decimal places, okay? Now, how about the males? Let's do the relative frequency of how many times you've been washing your hands for the boys. So how many boys were in the survey? 25. So this time our denominator is not going to be 36. Our denominator will be 25. So 14 out of 25 that falls into the 1 to 3 times a day category. So 14 out of 25. So that's, if I move my decimal 2 times to the right, that's 56% of the boys washing their hands 14 14 of you washing those hands 1 to 3 times a day. How about the 4 to 6 times a day? 4 to 6 times a day. That would be 6 of the boys. So 6 out of 25. Let's do 6 divided by 25. Move the decimal 2 times to the right. That's about 24% of you. About 24%. Okay. And then I want 7+ times a day. Those people that are really washing their hands a good bit. So that's 5 out of 25. 5 out of 25, you know that one already off the top of your head. That's 20%, y'all. Come on. So move my decimal 2 times to the right. I got to add a 0. That's 20%. 20% of you. Okay. Now these relative frequencies could also be done if you wanted to look at the relative frequency of the intervals. Rather than break it down by gender, you could break it down by intervals. So you could say, okay, how many people are, how many of those that are washing their hands 1 to 3 times per day, what percentage are female, what percentage are male? So you could break it down that way as well, okay? It's just another way to look at it. Okay, so let's go through a couple of these questions here. A, how many 8th grade students were surveyed? Well, where do we go to look for that information? Look right here. The total number of people surveyed, 61, okay? How many females were surveyed? How could we figure that out? Well, I go to gender, I go to female, go all the way across. I want the total number of females. That would be 36. How many males were surveyed? I go to male, I follow all the way across, and what is it? 25, right? 25. Okay, now the next question is asking, what percentage of females surveyed washed their hands 4 to 6 times per day? What percentage of the females that were surveyed? So we got to start off with how many females were surveyed? There were 36. How many of those 36 washed their hands 4 to 6 times a day? If I go up here to my table, it was what? 17 of them. Now this is a relative frequency that we've already calculated. 17 out of 36. What did we find? What percentage was that? That was 47.2%. Almost half of the girls were washing their hands 4 to 6 times per day. Okay. Compared to, look at the boys, so over half of the boys washing their hands 1 to 3 times per day. Boys, I would challenge y'all to maybe try to bump that up a little bit. Wash those hands a little more often, okay? D, of the students who washed their hands 7+ times per day, how many were males? So let's go to the table. So I want to know how many students washed their hands 7 or more times per day. I'm going to go to 7 or more times per day. There were what? 17 of them. And then I want to know how many were males. How many were males? Well, how many were there? There were what? There were 5. Now this question is not asking us for a percentage here. We just literally want to know a raw number. How many males washed their hands 7 or more times per day? That would be what? That would be 5. So folks, I just wanted to give you a little sampling of the types of questions that you could be asked on these two-way tables, okay? There's one more video for you to watch. Click on it.